Welcome to Open Studio on Brattleboro Community Television. My name is Chris Lenoir. They say music is nourishment for the soul, but the people who are joining me here today are here to talk about that and a much more literal application of that. Want to welcome to the studio Hugh Keelan from Windham Orchestra. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Great to be here.
Chris McAvoy, Executive Director of Brattleboro Senior Meals. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
And Chelsea Nunez, a board member for Brattleboro Senior Meals. Thanks for coming in, Chelsea.
Thank you.
And let's start with you because we're talking about a concert that's coming up on March 23rd for Brattleboro Senior Meals. Give us some details on that day.
Sure. So we will be having a lunch and concert at the Latchis Theatre on the 23rd of March. It will be at 12 noon. Doors open at 11:30 usually. Tickets will go on sale next week. We'll have an early bird pricing starting from them running through the first 10 days, and then prices will go up from there, so please get your tickets early.
Yeah, well, and depending on when people watch this, because it'll be on demand, let's talk about where they can find it so they can make sure they take advantage of that early bird pricing.
Certainly. So we will be sharing the information on our Facebook page, on our website, and be sending an email out to our mailing list.
Right, and BrattleboroSeniorMeals.org is the website. Do you know at this point what the pricing is going to be for the early bird?
Sure. So general admission early bird pricing will be $15 and then $20 after that. And then senior tickets will be $10 and $20 at the door for lunch and orchestra. And if you just want to watch the event, then it's $10.
Okay. And all that information will be available on both the Facebook page. Be readily available,
yes.
I'm sure. And if it doesn't sell out, tickets will be available at the door?
Yes.
Yeah, if it doesn't sell out, but hopefully it will, because this is a fundraiser for Brattleboro Senior Meals. Do we know the menu this far out?
Right now, we're not 100% sure, but we are partnering with Vermont Country Deli, so I'm sure it'll be something great.
Absolutely, it will be. And how does, I know that Windham Orchestra has done these luncheon concerts before. Remind us how this all plays out. Is people can eat while they watch the concert, or do they happen at different times? Or?
Yep, so people come in through the ticket area just the same as they would for a movie, and then we set up sort of a lunch buffet in the snack area where you would normally get your popcorn, but now you can get your lunch, and you take your tray into the theater, and then you can lunch and listen.
Yeah. Now, Hugh, they're still working on the menu. Are you still working on the program, or is that settled for what you'll be playing that day?
Program is settled, and it's awesome. That's so great how you explained all of that for us. And so I want to let you know that it's kind of a lawless environment, right, in there. In the
Latchis in general?
Yeah. But specifically for the senior meals and the Windham Orchestra collaborating for our lunchtime concert. So, yeah, you bring your lunch in. You don't have to chew softly. You can talk to your neighbor. You can dance with your lunch, and it's kind of an anything goes environment, and it's really awesome. So here's the musical menu. So we're doing the Beethoven Fourth Symphony, which is one of the I'm going to say peppy and upbeat. Not all Beethoven is peppy and upbeat. It's just so brilliant, alive, generous in a really good humored way. So that's the total program is about 1 hour and 5 minutes, and that'll take a little bit more than half an hour of that. And the
entree.
It is indeed the main course.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the entree, and before that, we do the Sibelius Violin Concerto, just the first movement, which is about 17 minutes. So that's a substantial piece of Sibelius. Now, the soloist is a young woman from Keene called Jayna Leach, and she's age 15, and she's in the public school system there in Keene, and she won the Windham Orchestra Concerto competition. And this young woman is extraordinary. I mean, extraordinary. She won a competition, but she kind of sounds even better than winning a competition. She has this richness of musical expertise and interest that's beyond being a classical violinist, at which she is superb, right? It's not like she's an all-rounder at the expense of being excellent in her primary thing. She's just unbelievable. So she'll be playing with us for the first part of the concert. It'd be so wrong to describe her participation as an appetizer, right? It's like you know, there's too much there simply to call it an appetizer.
First course.
It's a first course,
Yeah.
right? A pasta dish.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but by Sibelius, not by an Italian. Right. Where are we going with this? I don't know.
It's all spontaneous.
Right.
It's kind of ragtag, just like the concert
Yeah,
itself. But
it
okay,
is, yeah.
so the concerto, Beethoven.
Concerto and Beethoven, and that is the musical
Yeah.
performance in which we'd love people to come and have lunch and just enjoy it in any way that they want to.
Yeah. Now, Chris, you're in the middle of
Yes,
Hugh
I
and
am.
Chelsea, because you're in the
Yes.
middle of all this, not only as executive director of Brattleboro Senior Meals, but also playing viola in the Windham Orchestra.
Yes.
Which is more pressure for you, doing the luncheon part of it or doing the performance part of it?
Well, I kind of divorced myself from the luncheon at that particular moment in time. I'm involved in all the planning and getting things ready for that. But on that day, I sit down on stage, and that's where I stay, pretty much. let all the board members take care of the other piece. But as far as pressure, there's different types of pressure. I'm not playing any solos, which I'm grateful for. So there's not that type of pressure, but the music, there's a lot of notes in Beethoven. So I'm working on that now,
Right.
and also working on making sure that everything's in place for the lunch.
Right. Well, and obviously you have a lot of help in both capacities up there with the orchestra, and then also with what's happening at Brattleboro Senior Meals. So this has been kind of an ongoing relationship. Is that right?
Yes, actually, I think this is the third time
Third time.
we've done this. Each time it's a little bit different, and we learn a little more from how the whole nuts and bolts of putting together this event. And Chelsea's been involved all three years, and she's taking over the reins this year. So I think it's great.
It sounds, I mean, I know we've had conversations about it before. Is there something different this year? Because it sounds to me very similar to the way the format has gone.
This year we're actually hoping to cater the meals as opposed to making them in the Brattleboro Senior Meals kitchen.
Okay.
And that takes a lot of pressure off of a lot of people. Because in addition to doing the 200 meals that we would prepare for the concert, we were doing all of our Meals on Wheels and doing some meals for people eating at the center. So I've got someone taking care of the center on that day, and I'll be sitting on stage.
Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think of that until just now, but it's not like you close down
No.
the center and the meals that you provide there.
People are
just
still
because you're doing
eating.
this,
Just because
so.
I want to play viola, people are still eating.
So Vermont Country Deli is handling that responsibility. Let's talk about why this has been successful for Brattleboro Senior Meals. I mean, you continue to do it, so it must be working for you as far as raising awareness, raising funds for the organization.
Well, we've had a lot of help from different areas. The first year that we did it, there was a program called Get on Board through Marlborough College, and Chelsea was involved in that. And Chelsea was our designated fellow. Yeah, they were a fellow that was with our board for quite some time, as getting a chance to try out a nonprofit board. And she kind of was full of ideas and had just took the ball and ran with it. She had extensive contacts through the Marlborough College community, and that really helped us get people in to volunteer. It also helped us with our bottom line in terms of money. We were also part of the March for Meals program, which is a nationwide what's the word I'm
Campaign.
looking? What?
Campaign,
thank you. And that was kind of a good thing too, that gave us a lot of exposure. It also helped us leverage some grants too. They've pretty much stopped the grant program with the March for Meals, so we're not utilizing that venue this year. This year we're just trying things a little bit differently. Like I said, we're gonna try a vendor as opposed to preparing the meals ourselves. And I've been very successful already in getting grants to help get the bottom line there. So I'm looking forward to this. This is a little bit different. Takes some of the pressure off of the nuts and bolts of it.
Right. Not necessarily interested in hearing dollar amounts, but in terms of what the proceeds go towards and how much it helps with whatever expenses that you use it for. I don't know if you use it for purchasing or operations or however you use it.
It's mostly operations. Yeah. Right now, we're in a place where we are serving almost more meals than we can handle. Sure. We get reimbursed for meals that we serve, but that particular amount that we're reimbursed, a cap has been put on top of it. And once we go over that cap, the government will not give us the money for the meals anymore. And that's really kind of made us sit back and look at how we do things. You know, we feed a lot of people. We're feeding 100 people a day.
Is that right?
On the Meals on Wheels. That's just stuff going out, and that's not counting the people that come in. And it will go to help fund some of those meals so that we don't have to say, I'm sorry, we can't serve you. You know, I mean, if you're talking about food, you don't want to say no.
And that's come up? Have you had to actually decline people?
Not yet.
Not yet.
And that's, yeah, that is very good, you know, and I want to keep it that way. I don't want to have to, you know, say, no, I'm sorry, we can't serve you.
Right. And when you're talking about 100 meals on the Meals on Wheels
Yes.
program, so that's unduplicated. And as you said, that's in addition to people who you see, the regulars who come in and enjoy the community of the senior center and the lunch and everything, the vibe that you've created.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's around between 100, 120 and 150 meals per day. That we serve. And, you know, for a small center such as ours and a small program such as ours, we're almost at our capacity. I mean, it has to do with where do you put the food, you know, where do you put the food that you use to prepare the meals? You know, we run out of refrigerator space, we run out of storage space, and we run out of, you know, at a certain point you have to hire someone else to help with all the work. So that's kind of what we're looking at soon.
Yeah, well, and I know there's a lot of downward pressure as far as things that happen with federal funding and state funding. And I remember the Commons had an article about not just Brattleboro, but a lot of the surrounding Windham County areas where they have meal programs and kind of that community space. And as they are losing some of their funding or some of their ability to handle their capacity, I can see that impacting you here in Brattleboro.
Actually, Brattleboro is, and I just found this out today, is number one in terms of number of Meals on Wheels that go out of the door. And this is just in the southeast region. So out of the 35, 40 sites in the southeast region, we're the one that serves the most Meals on Wheels. So that was an eye-opener. We were always like number 3, but now we're number 1.
Geographically, what are we talking about for your reach here?
We go to Vernon, we go to Guilford, we go to Dummerston, Marlborough sometimes, and Brattleboro.
Yeah, and I know you have the website brattleboro.seniormeals.org where people can probably find out about eligibility or how to apply, but just give people, like viewers at home, a snapshot of how somebody might learn about how they might be able to access your program.
Generally, it's a phone call. Do you want me to say the number now?
Sure,
yeah, it's 257-1236. And yes, so call me. I'm more apt to answer the phone in the afternoon than I am in the morning. Yeah. And I can. It's a 20-minute process. And once you find out whether or not you're eligible, then I can take an intake on the phone and get you signed up for Meals on Wheels if you are eligible.
Yeah, you probably have family members calling on behalf of other family members at the time as well, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I do ask that at least I need to have a conversation with the person who's receiving the meals, or they need to understand, you know, what's expected of them, because there usually needs to be someone to open a door, or a door needs to be left unlocked. We don't like to leave things sitting on steps because we don't know what happens to them after.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Wild animals and dogs and all kinds of things.
It is food after all.
Yes, it is.
Chelsea, I ask this of a lot of people who volunteer in different organizations in town, and what Chris just said about your energy for Brattleboro Senior Meals. There's no end of organizations to get involved in and devote energy to. For you, what was it about Brattleboro Senior Meals that you said, yeah, this is where I really want to give some of my time and energy?
I think the initial connection through Get On Board really showed me a board that needed some assistance, and I felt like I could bring some new energy to the group and to the conversations, and it's those and allow for me to bring new opportunities and help support a program close to my job. I lost my grandmother, and it was something that helped her in her time of need before I lost her, and it just felt right to me.
So did you ever have like conversations or experience with your grandmother? Or did you sit with her for meals or talk to her about the program?
Not really, and
No?
it made me
Okay.
realize that I should have. I
Right.
should have spent more time doing that. So I think that now it gives me an opportunity to feel a little bit of a connection to that process, at least, if I can't be the one necessarily bringing the meal to the door.
And obviously, you're busy. You work outside of doing the board and a lot of other things, I'm sure. Do you get a chance to go to the community center? Do you get a chance to be kind of hands-on in there? And what's that experience like?
Yeah, I get to come to sort of more of the special event type things, obviously the Latchis event and our Thanksgiving and our holiday meal and some of those bigger one-off sort of things, and help to support that process, assisting the servers and directing people and taking tickets and all that different types of things, and it's a nice experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not the only organization that we're talking about today, Brattleboro Senior Meals, because the Windham Orchestra is part of the Brattleboro Music Center. And Hugh, I mean, these relationships that the orchestra has with organizations like this really, I mean, it's a perfect symbiosis in a lot of ways, isn't it?
Oh, it's like so moving, you guys sharing about why this happens and what's in it for you and what's in it for Senior Meals and what's in it for the Meals on Wheels program. Therefore, what's in it for the community, right? Now, at first sight, what we're talking about is a classical music concert. Some people care deeply about classical music concerts, and a lot of people don't. So we have an opportunity in collaborating with what you ladies are talking about and creating organizationally. We have an opportunity to be like a community focus for a really important service concern, right? A humanitarian thing that is highly desirable, and it survives or it doesn't survive, whatever it is, right? We assume it's there, but it's not. We can't count on it being there. It has to be grown. It has to be nurtured and developed, and that we can be in any way a part of that as an orchestra, for heaven's sake, right? Is like unbelievable. So we fulfill on something that's really important to me, which is being of service to the community, rather than just being good at classical music or that thing, which in the end is it's like a niche market. But when we address a concern for everybody through a collaboration like this, I mean, my heart just can barely stay in its chest, right? In my chest, it's just so moving to hear about all of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the orchestra gets called upon. I mean, you have your own program, but you get called upon to do these things with some frequency, it seems.
It's really important that people have their permission to like or dislike what we do. Once they have permission not to be interested in what classical music is, it's a very funny thing to say, but a curiosity could emerge. There's no longer a simple polarization, us and them, which is what you were pointing at to start with. Mm-hmm. Right, and there's no guarantees, it's not a certainty it'll go that way, but at least something new is available. And the other thing to say about this wonderful realm of inquiry that you're taking us into, Chris, is to do almost anything to disrupt people's expectations about what we'll call it a classical music concert is, right? So there's lots of thoughts about good manners, protocol for classical, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, behaviors during the concert. Is the thing they're playing right now classical music? I don't know if it's classical music, right? There are all sorts of things that come up for people as assumptions about, how it goes. So anything that we do that even just a little bit, benignly or perhaps a little bit less benignly, puts something disruptive in there. People listen to it differently. They view the organization differently. It's a disruption that we would, for 3 years in a row, do a lunchtime concert with an organization, apart from a common member, that at first sight has nothing to do with music at all.
Yeah.
That's a disruption of a public view of what an orchestra is. So, and that may or may not mean that more people will come to the concert, but for sure it means that we organizationally position ourselves differently in the community. You know, we are seen to be a little bit different than what we were even a month or two ago, and so does Brattleboro Senior Meals, I would argue, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the informality to me that is part of the appeal of this. The fact, you know, you can just take the food to your seat and enjoy the concert or dance, as you say. I'm sure this has been a situation that has kind of opened people's eyes to the experience and their ears. Based on that, and you've all been part of the previous versions of this, I'd like to hear each of you kind of just share one of your favorite anecdotes, a favorite memory from each of the past couple of years here. Maybe one conversation you heard. They're all kind of like...
I got a great one, but I want the ladies to go.
This is a family show now.
Right,
This is a family show. If anyone, you know, depantsed, we don't want to hear about that. But maybe it was a comment afterwards or something like that. Chelsea, do you want to get us started there?
Certainly. I mean, I myself would say that I'm not a classical music person. I was kind of like, okay, this will be an interesting event for our seniors, and I will be there. And then I heard the music flowing through the doors, and I was like, when can I get in there to listen? I want to see what's going on. This is beautiful, and this is amazing. And I still don't want to like run out and buy a classical CD, but I look forward to this event every year and hearing and seeing the orchestra. It's an opportunity that I wouldn't necessarily take otherwise. So it's a great experience.
Yeah. Chris, how about you?
All right. So this involves Hugh. The very first concert, the first collaboration that we did, you singled me out and had me stand up, and and acknowledged my role in everything. And I just stood there, and people started clapping, and I'm like, well, I'm just working, you know? But it was so overwhelming to have that type of support that I don't normally get in my everyday work. And it was just like, I almost, burst into tears. I sat down very quickly after that, so.
Well, yeah, you're kind of day-to-day
this
dealing
is what
with things,
yes.
and maybe you'll get a thank you. Certainly, you'll get a lot of thank yus, but to have that kind of public acknowledgement,
yes, I know it was amazing. It was absolutely. It was like, oh. So yeah, that's what really sticks with me. So
you from your perch.
Yeah. So this is it's so moving what you each shared, right? It's what I want music to be for. It's for people to have like a deeply personal experience that's even better than enjoying the music, right? So that's in different ways. That's part of what I heard from each of you. So my memory is perhaps from the last Senior Meals Windham Orchestra collaboration lunchtime that we did. And you can picture that at lunchtime, and with the very particular setup involving food, there's possibly a bigger range of demographics, socioeconomic demographic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember this.
And so there were some people there who it wouldn't be difficult to identify as perhaps being homeless, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they were or they weren't, but that might have been the house perception of what was going on. And they were perhaps behaving differently from how somebody who's used to concert going was. Now, I've got a particular job in that circumstance. I have a job, it's given by me to me, is to make this environment okay for everybody. For the people who've come in, for whatever reason they've come in, for the people who have a complaint, for whatever reason they have a complaint, for the people who are, I don't know, just for everybody to leave with a lovely, lovely, hey, we're all here together takeaway from it. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know, for all I know, there are people out there who hated that event. I doubt it. But I say that it was one of the most beautiful things, that all these different parties could kind of be with one another, encounter one another. We had a small amount to deal with, not much. And everybody left having had a great experience, including a meal, including some music, including kind of listening to their neighbor there in the concert hall in a different way.
Nice.
So it's like exquisite.
Yeah.
It's exquisite what we did last time.
Well, and we seem to have that in Brattleboro here, where we have these opportunities for different people in the economic strata to gather together, whether it's the Thanksgiving dinner or different things like that. I think that's really something that's embraced by the community, and it sounds like you've created that vibe there. And I've got to say, Chelsea, to your point about the music, I mean, there's nothing like live performance of almost any kind of music, but classical music in particular by a large group. How big is the orchestra going to be, Hugh?
Yeah, so we're probably in the 65 range for the Beethoven. Yeah.
And then for the Sibelius piece before?
Sibelius, same size.
Oh, okay.
Our next concert cycle is likely to be significantly larger. We'll probably be in the 70-80 category, but we're not talking about that now. But later in the season, we'll probably be even bigger.
Yeah, great. Well, and people can find out about your program. I have at the bmcvt.org website, the Windham Orchestra has its own web page. Is there a specific site for the Windham Orchestra too?
You Google Windham Orchestra, we got a spanking new web page, and it's really wonderful.
All right, keep a lookout for that. And BrattleboroSeniorMeals.org, the website for your organization. And let's remind everybody again about some of the details about Thursday, March 23rd at noon, the luncheon. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Sure. So just a reminder, tickets go on sale next week. We will be offering early bird specials, so get your tickets early. And there'll be lunch catered by the Vermont Country Deli and a great orchestra event.
It's going to be a great one, the third year and counting, right? There's no reason to stop this train now.
No, right. And it's been a different shape every time, right?
Yes.
It hasn't been, ABC equals D. It hasn't been that at all, right? It's like a different flavor and a different like creative quality each time.
Yeah. Well, it's really been a pleasure talking to you all about it today, and good luck with the event. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having
All right. Hugh Keelan, Chris McAvoy, and Chelsea Nunez. Want to thank all of you for joining us on this version of Open Studio on Brattleboro Community Television, and encourage you to go to BrattleboroTV.org to watch it and previous editions on demand. Thank you.